First of all, thank you for your, I have to say, enthusiastic response to my last video. In particular, some small comments I made at the beginning of the video caused a lot of people to write, which was wonderful to receive. And probably the best comment, I could show you dozens, but there's no time, was from a vet. And he said, you know, I'm paraphrasing because it was a long note he sent me. He said, you know, we're in the trenches now, and you never think about losing. You never become kind of defeatist or anything like that. You think about winning, and the loss of one person is too much, but of course things can get really bad. But he said don't focus on sensational things, and I think that's something everybody can agree upon. But the last thing he wrote was the best. He said nobody's talking about not getting out of this, which is what I was saying on my last video. We'll make it. And he said it's just people talking about when this will end. There's no discussion about it going on forever. So I think he's right, and he probably has a life experiences that showed him that one remains positive, and it's not necessarily great to focus on all the details. There's tragedy all around, but there always is, and we keep going, do everything that we can, and we'll make it through. So I thought I'd share that with you. I think that that's something we can all do, and naturally I'm doing everything I can in the background. But getting back to the video, gun part, people were writing me for a long time saying, what's your favorite North American rifle? So that was a relief, because if they were asking me about overall what's the best rifle, I'd probably take out a Mauser 98, and I'm hoping that you can see these rifles. As you know, I don't have the most sophisticated studio, and some of you were scolding me for bumping rifles. That happens all the time. There's no real damage, there's no nothing. They're pretty tough. Anyway, this is a particularly nice Mauser 98. It's by Schuler, and later on in the video I have a surprise kind of result from a range visit, which I probably didn't mention, or maybe I did, but I'll tell you toward the end what really surprised me about my little adventure with Winchesters. So yeah, we can set this aside, and maybe we'll bump into something, maybe not. Winchester 1894 model 94, I have to say is probably my favorite North American rifle. There are so many, and when I receive that many messages over the years, I kind of think, okay, Ruger #1, Ruger model 77. How could you not pick the Winchester model 70, the pre-64? I mean, there are countless rifles that are so good. But then I thought about the model 94. I thought about the model 64, which is the same rifle except with a longer barrel and a pistol grip stock, as you probably know. But it doesn't really matter which variant you're talking about. The model 94 has just about everything that you could want in a rifle. Now, this may not be coherent to our European viewers, and in a way sorry about that, because I guess lever actions aren't that popular, although some of you write me that they are popular in certain European countries. But over here, I've seen so many Model 94s in so many places. They all seem to be always working, and they're easy to understand. They have very few parts. I brought out the 1892, which I took out to the range that day. That's in 45 Colt. This one is in the surprise cartridge, which some of you may know. And you can see on the 1892, the locking is accomplished by 2 locking lugs. We actually made a video on this years ago, but then with all these requests about naming my favorite North American rifle, I thought I'll just show you again. So I mean, it's a typical lever action, but the coolest thing about it is the way it locks. It's just fantastic engineering, of course, by John Browning, and fire control by way of the hammer. This one has a safety. This is a copy made in Japan, and I really like these copies. I think they're exceptional. So that's the 1892, and hopefully you got a glimpse of them together at the beginning of the video. And here's the 1886, which is a massive rifle, as you can tell, designed for black powder cartridges. It also has the two locking lugs, and it has, you know, not a small number of parts, but everything's very robust. And you could tell the 1892 is just a copy of the 1886. And this is in 4570, so let's just open the action again, and you can see the muzzle. That's a serious 45 caliber bullet. And this particular rifle, if you're wondering what model this is, well, actually I don't know, because I took the stock that was on here off and put another stock on. The original had this nasty crescent butt plate, which I was trying hard to hold it right, but somehow I got it wrong, and it was just too punishing. So I had a chance to buy this stock, which you can see is kind of damaged, and so I just bought it and installed it there. It wasn't a big job to do that. Anyway, getting back to the 1892, you couldn't find a lovelier small rifle than that, but because of the length of the action, you're confined to 45 Colt, 4440, and a few others. And I'm sure I'll receive notes if I don't say the 1886 came in a whole host of cartridges, all of them interesting. Getting back to the 1892, this one beautifully made with a half round, half octagon barrel. That's always a really nice feature. These are wonderful, and I know collectors that only collect 1892s and all their variants. So yeah, exceptional. Some people object to this safety on the newer versions. I have no problem with them. Whatever the manufacturers have to do to get them on the market is fine by me. And then I thought, since I have the angle eject model, all that means is, if you see this little milled out section, that's to allow cartridges to be ejected out the side. The Marlin was always a side eject, so it was not hard to put a scope on it, but the Model 94, which I have here, this is a 1941 or something, maybe, yeah, somewhere in there. I looked it up. A little bit beaten up. You can see the extractor and ejection is out the top. This is a very slick action. There were all kinds of different manufacturing methods that they used for Model 94s over the years, but I mean, that's why I couldn't really pick any other rifle. It doesn't have anything to obstruct your hand. If you can shoot with iron sights, probably the Model 94 is the easiest go-to rifle. I looked up how many were sold, and it's something like 7.5 or 8 million. They're still being made. You can buy a brand new Model 94, and you could buy a brand new Model 1894 in that year, which says a lot. They really are quite remarkable. I've seen them in various places in Mexico. And I wanted to say another thing, because I was looking at cartridges. So recently somebody brought in a 6.5 Grendel. I bought that, I tried that. The 7.62 by 39 is popular. A lot of these shorter cartridges are becoming extremely popular, and they're not 500 or 900 yard cartridges. They're, 200 yards or so, which is right in the 30-30 arena. Same with the 300 Blackout that I like a lot. So maybe the rifle was actually balanced and convenient to handle and load. I mean, loading is accomplished, as you know, but maybe not through a loading gate. It's a tubular magazine. There's nothing to lose. You don't have to think about 30-round magazines, because the tube only holds whatever it does, 5, depending on barrel length. Some are shorter and some are longer magazines. Anyhow, this was, until that last range test, the most accurate Model 94 I've ever fired. and I'll show you the muzzle, and you can probably guess the caliber. This is a Japanese copy again, and it's in 25-35, and what an exceptional cartridge. You know, these are not supposed to be that accurate because they're not free floating and all these other things that are wrong with them from a purely accuracy point of view. But this 25-35 is as good as, in my hands anyway, as any target rifle at 100 yards. I think I may have told you about this rifle. Anyway, so then time passes and things happen and you don't get out as often as you want to. By the way, I put out some rounds here before I reach kind of the conclusion. This is these are Canadian rounds. The boxes are kind of interesting. I looked at this one just now before filming, and one of them, must be this one, was $2.35. That's very inexpensive. I guess things have changed dramatically. Anyhow, this is on the table for no particular reason, just the box, I guess, because I'm not aware of a Model 94 having been made in 35 Remington, and then I just put the 35 next to the 30-30. Then I was digging around for a 25-35 and came up with the 225 Winchester, which was never in a Model 94, but I thought it was kind of a cool round to have on the table. And I like the 225. So fortunately I've managed not to bump any rifles together, and we reached the end of the video, and this is in 7x30 waters. We actually put this up on Instagram, and I don't have a 7x30 waters round to show you. I wanted to show you one on the web. Then it turned out I can't do that because of copyright. So you'll have to look for one. Sorry, it was a complicated thing that went on at the range, so I don't have 7x30 rounds, but it's based on the 30-30. And this is the angle eject, as I said before. You can put a scope on it. And in this particular rifle, I guess, the accuracy at 200 meters or yards, because the meters are a little longer, it's about the same as the 25-35 at 100. It's just a remarkably accurate rifle. Now, I have to say you can see the holes on the receiver and evidence of scope bases. I took them off for filming, so I was using a scope that day. And it has the safety. Some people hate that safety, but I don't mind any of those features. Actually, I like the angle eject best of all these, which sounds really radical to some collectors. They're just they've got everything, they're convenient, and this one probably had low or no rounds through it. But have a look at that 7x30 waters. I hope somebody still makes ammunition. I was lucky and came across 2 or 3 boxes, and maybe I'll manage to show you some next video. But there it is. That's the most accurate Model 94 that I've ever used, and most accurate cartridge in the Model 94 by far. Just remarkable accuracy. When you see it happening, and I know it's happened to you, you think maybe you're missing the target or something like that. So that's about it. I have to maybe conclude by saying you're really an amazing audience. Just the comments on your last video and your approach to life and everything, there really couldn't be better people. I guess there were some people that were upset. I had a couple of notes that people, were hoping that I get sick and then don't make it. And I guess that could happen. And if it did, well, I guess that would happen. Anyway, I'm never upset at anybody. And yeah, I hope you liked this video. We've got a whole bunch more planned in these quiet days. It always takes me longer to get organized than I want it to, but eventually I make it here. I hope this was interesting. I always have to be careful now not to clunk the guns together, which happens. I have so much to show you. Please take care and stay safe and follow all the rules and whatever guidance that you get, as I am. And follow us on Instagram and subscribe and click the bell. I'm trying to remember all the things to tell you to do. And if you can help the channel on Patreon, that's even better. And that is about it for today. So thank you, and stay healthy, and everything will work out. Take care.